we are trying to figure out um title tracing stuff. I think that you've noted. I think that you're most aware of this, Stratino. That like when we get this Hoppian conception of contracts, practiced, people will. It becomes this like rationalization competition where you're like, how can I rationalize my way out of this hypothetical contract? And I think that there's something wrong with that approach. I think you know that better than I do.
Mm. It's like the uh I'm at the sports game and I'm like, I bet you $50 the Red Sox won't win. And then fucking out of nowhere, it's like, oh wait, the Red Sox won. Now you owe me $50. I'm like, no, I don't owe you $50. And it's like, yeah, but you said you would. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. And then we go up to court, and the court's like, what's the evidence for that? And they're like, I don't have any evidence. And it's like, great.
I see.
Right. So yeah, like what have you been? Because I remember the last thing you said was that you really haven't been like reading into the title tracing stuff. But like have
Yeah, no,
you
I haven't.
been looking
That
into
hasn't
anything?
changed.
No.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it at all. Um, I was like, I was figuring that probably like talking about it would be a better idea because it would be a bit more ready communication.
Uh, right. I guess it could be like my first attempt at trying to like explain this.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like I don't have
didn't we
to keep
explain this as
like
like
messaging
synthetic
and
at some point or
texting.
something?
Hmm?
I
All
swear, Sakura, me and you explained it to like synthetic or something at some point.
we were talking to Onos a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Um, but yeah, I mean like title tracing, like the way like G put it at least was like we're trying to like generalize like the principles that we already have instead of trying to like find some kind of other, like trying to like make a new principle for like legal analysis instead of like just like generalizing our like already pre-existing principles, right? And like just like applying them.
Mhm.
And so like I think like the like the donut homestead stuff is like very like a good example where it's like some people will say like, oh well, we could get like a helicopter company to like come inside the donut and like bring the guy out of like the donut or whatever, right? Like just like kind of making these like rationalizations, being like, oh well, yeah, we could have this, and it's like, well, we have to like look at the facts. We have to like generalize our existing principles, and so the idea is that um we just need to look at like the actual conflict, like what is actually going on. And so when we're looking at the conflict, it's like we can see that one person has done all of these like things to kind of build up this like a border around their property, right? Like a house, right? It's like you build this fence around your property and it's like you're like excluding others from that house with your fence. And so the idea is that because of that border, it structures the actions of the latecomer in a way where we can just kind of easily identify the latecomer action. And so with stuff like the donut homestead, it's like if I like drop a cage over your house, it's like I can't, like, in order to not be excluding the entire like center of it, I would have to be giving these like easements, right? Like, but like I'm not, right? Like it's like if you're like inside my cage that I've dropped and you're like, "Oh, can I get out?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't own wherever you're standing." Right? so you can't get out. It's like, well, okay, well, you're still like excluding me from like leaving. Like I have no choice in the matter, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, obviously, if you're trying to like exclude people from like getting out of your cage, it's like you've like kidnapped them, literally, right?
Mhm.
And so that is like a much like easier way, and it's like it's using kind of what we already know about conflict and how like what conflict is always like looking like, you know?
Mhm. Well, honestly, yeah, I don't see is this is like too um as too new to me, I guess is the word. Like, I mean, we had Block had like a whole proviso,
Right.
and the Blockian proviso was a thing, but I do remember a lot of backlash to the Blockian proviso for the same reason that people were like, "Oh, you're just treating this sort of conflict as like an anomaly."
Yeah, it's like a
Um,
special case, yeah.
yeah. So I remember Zulu. To be fair, props to Zulu. He did actually like he did. There's like a long ass forestalling debate that Zulu had with like four other people. It's like a 3 hour long argument. It's the most heated argument I think I've ever seen Zulu get in. But like he is defending the embordering position extremely well because I mean he makes the same point of like the the nature of at least homesteading is that like you can't make arbitrary exclusions of certain things. I think actually Hapa made the same point as well, which like I mean that was like the one thing that Hapa actually innovated. It was in like the economics and ethics of private property. He mentioned that when you go into like a you know when you border a certain area, some natural land, all of the land that's in there, you are now using because the the way that you're structuring the homestead implies ownership of everything inside of it, and you can't make any arbitrary partitions within what you do or don't own that cannot be you know implied by the structure of your homestead. And it's the same thing as like if you, for example, keep a baseball in your basement. And you say that you don't own the baseball, and anybody can get the baseball. The it's like if you're not making that clear, if you're not like providing any sort of structure by which somebody can homestead the baseball, and it's just like the baseball is assumed to be unhomesteaded or abandoned by you just random, then like you haven't actually abandoned the baseball. You arbitrarily saying I don't own the baseball anymore. And there's like literally the point of abandonment or homesteading is that you're restructuring certain actions that change the landscape of what is now like you're changing the landscape of affordances specifically. It's the same thing with the baby. If you're a
Yeah.
guardian, and you are abandoning guardianship over a child, you have to like actually abandon the child or guardianship over the child. Like you can't just fucking leave it in your basement. And it's like finders
Yeah.
keepers, bitch. You know.
Yeah, it's like as long as
So,
the baseball's on your property, it's like you own it, right? Like you would have to,
mhm,
in order to abandon it, you would just have to like just toss it on the ground in the woods somewhere. Just
uh-huh. You actually, I mean, a lot of what abandonment has to do is returning something to a state of nature. Like the
mm,
baseball is just now just part of nature to be able to be homesteaded. It's just out there in the world, with nobody actually doing anything with it, and nothing is actually like structured such that ownership of the baseball is a thing there. Which I think if the title tracing stuff is about how property structures affordances, or I guess how um the implications of property affordances, then honestly, yeah, no, I think I do have a pretty good grasp of that. That whole thing
Yeah, it
started
definitely
with the
requires. Yeah, it definitely requires like a view of like affordances to be
Mhm.
like had in order to really understand it. Um,
Yeah.
and it's also like obviously like in this respect like the blocking improviso has been like explored a lot in that kind of
Mhm.
aspect, but it's like with like other things, it's like less obvious. So like we keep falling into this kind of like issue like as just like a movement in general, where it's just like we have these hypotheticals and then it's just like we kind of just like miss what's important, it's like with
Mhm.
abandonment it's like we kind of like miss what's important, and so we end up falling into like just like straight up like pro-life, like oh no, you're forced to give birth to this child, right? It's like you must do it this way, and it's like we've
Another example is the
missed like
oh
we've
yeah, right.
missed uh like the like how like simple it is to just say like, well, yeah, we could just do like eviction instead, and it's like, and that was kind of like linked back to like kind of how this whole thing started, but like it's not like
Like it's not.
the like cause for why we're doing this really, but like it was
Mhm.
like when we were arguing with lights, right? Like spooky lights and his like causationism stuff. We
Oh,
were just like oh, man, this theory is just like so weird, like but like I didn't really understand. I was like, it's just very like weird. It's just like
I I don't know the whole thing about lights causationism shit. You'd have to tell me about that. I'm like super interested.
um but yeah, but then I was like asking G about it, and then he pointed me to like his title tracing stuff, and I was like, oh wow, this is like really interesting.
Mhm.
Um but no, I mean the causationism stuff I kind of understand now, because with causationism it's like Lights is like he's like trying to get like a principle that accounts for context, but it's like he like misses like a lot of it, right? Like it's just like he just refers to like causal events instead of like just straight up like the conflict, right? It's like he'll be like, "Oh, well, this like mother here, like she has to like give birth to this baby because like she had sex with this guy, right?" And it's just like it doesn't account for like goals, right? Or like just like anything, right? Like if the fucking like the mother and the father are just like maybe they like separated or something like that. Like it just doesn't like account for that explicitly, you know?
Mhm. Well,
Um so yeah.
when it
I think it leaves a lot unentailed, basically.
when it comes to context and conflict, um, the way that I came to understand what I do about contracts is it if you are going to study context and conflicts, you have to know about the optic array.
Mm.
Um, and it sounds odd to mention it, but the reason it's important is because you're always occupying some sort of array of information, or at least you're occupying a certain position in the environment by which you are either
Some
perceiving
form
the
of
conflict as a
observation.
witness,
Hmm.
or like being um the victim of a conflict. There you Because there is an issue of libertarians who try to omit the point of observation from a conflict. Like, you know, for example, I know one of the ye old forestalling like hypotheticals was, what if a guy just creates an entire dome around the Earth?
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it's like, well, how are we discovering it? By what means? Who is discovering this? What evidence? All of that stuff traces back to a particular point of observation in the environment by which we can actually gather evidence about the conflict. And that's how you acquire the context. So, like,
Yeah.
if we go back to the example of the contract where I'm like, you know, I I bet you $50 that the Red Sox will lose, and then the Red Sox win, and all the all that is observable there is just like, you know, I'm saying shit, and that's about it, because there's not a the environment was not structured such that there was a serious commitment to actually, creating a contract. Because when it comes to contracts, you you're kind of structuring the whole division of labor such that there are all eyes on the contract. Um, you know, you're creating every single possible, you know, um, piece of information that could make it almost inescapable from the context. You
Yeah, and
know,
like G makes it like very explicit, like what you're kind
mhm,
of saying with like
mhm,
this like simple phrase, which is that like the first comer latecomer distinction is identified by like the thing in question, right? Like whatever we're
mhm,
looking at, it's like the first comer latecomer distinction is like right there, like we can just see it. And so it's like if it's like
mhm,
not obvious, or it's like kind of like questionable, right? Like that's not like a problem with our theory, right? It's more like,
mhm.
okay, well, this is a problem with whoever is like trying to exclude the other, because they clearly have like done something incorrectly to the point where it's kind of like not obvious that they're like the owner of the thing, right?
Uh-huh. Um, yeah, no, it's pretty much the same thing that I'm talking about here. It's like, I really like the phrase "all eyes on the contract" because
Mm-hmm.
it specifically gets at all of the occupations that you could possibly have being structured to basically make it to where, like, there's just all points of observation that you can have on the contract. You can't escape from that. Everybody's seeing what's going on when you're signing the contract. You're in a whole network of contracts with other people such that everybody has a point of observation around this same contract. And if you break that contract, there is all the evidence in the world to actually, you know, for insurance companies to come in there and, settle disputes, or even to go to arbitration and settle a dispute. In the context, or in the situation of, I bet you $50 the Red Sox won't win. Um, all there is you. Like, you know, there is either just you, or there's like one guy, I guess, because obviously in every conflict there has to be three people. There's the first comer, latecomer, and the arbitrator, whether that's us or, you know, an actual arbitrator. But like all these hypotheticals, we're supposed to be the arbitrator who's like resolving this conflict. So it's like, obviously there has to be some other guy around who's able to actually like come in and be like, "Well, are you actually serious about that?"
Yeah,
Do
and
we
it's like
want to
Where's
like
G
really
at?
what?
do we want to like actually create, eyes on the contract, different points of observation from which we can observe the evidence? If you just like if you don't have enough points of observation for a contract, the contract's null because we have like no evidence to testify to um about the contract.
Yeah. And
That's
it's
kind of
like
the
with title
issue.
tracing, we really try to like try to include the arbitrator, right? Instead of
Hmm.
just like kind of like getting rid of the arbitrator like Zulu does, where he's like, oh, you could just like punch the guy back or whatever, right? It's like
Yeah, it's just like
that
punching the
doesn't
fucking.
include the arbitrator at all, right?
You could just rape him back.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
But
like,
it's like that doesn't include any arbitration. Like where does you're saying like arbitration is like this like thing, but it's like you're not even including it. Where is it?
mhm. And I will yeah, I will say I think that 90% of hypotheticals over any anything about conflicts is just from you know a observationless standpoint. There's just there's no eyes on the conflict. It's like we're like from a god's eye view, who
Yeah.
is like a god who can't exactly intervene into the conflict and provide any new information about the conflict ourselves, and still yet has like complete omniscience over the conflict, when
Yeah.
in actuality the we're observing the conflict from a specific angle, from a specific point of view, and that provides new information about the conflict that is necessary to incorporate.
Yeah, it's like we're and like that's also like another thing she says is like I don't know if you're familiar with the term like complex particular that Turvey uses. Um but it's like evidence is like a complex particular where it's like there's all
Mhm,
these different like kind of like dimensions of it we can look at, and it's like we can't
mhm,
put it all into one like simple word. Like we have to kind of and that's kind of like what the formalism that we're working on is for, so we can kind of just like note it down and like make it like kind of like a map so that we can like pick out the
mhm,
particular parts of the evidence and stuff like that.
mhm,
And yeah, I mean with the hypothetical stuff, it's like we're hoping also with this like that it'll help you when you're approached with some like hypothetical, be like, okay, well, like what do I need to know in order to make this hypothetical even like intelligible, right?
mhm. Exactly.
Because it's like a lot of people they'll just be like, oh well, you're just in this situation. It's like, well, okay, well,
You're
uh,
falling. Yeah.
that's not really how like an actual conflict works, right? Because we have all of
Right.
this evidence already, and we just need to go through all of this evidence, right? But we don't have any evidence in this hypothetical. There's just nothing here, right? So it's like, okay, well, what is the evidence? What like I ask these questions and stuff like that.
Mhm. I think I'm thinking with a lot of these contract hypotheticals, the um the first thing I say is you don't know that. You have no clue what you're talking about. Like I'm in the car, and my mother says if I spend over $40 at the store, I'll get you a Twix. And she spends over $40, gets me a Twix, and solve the hypothetical. As like but obviously the mother owes her son the Twix bar. I'm like, you don't know that. Were you there?
Hmm.
Like, where were you? Where was your
Right.
ass when
Right.
your fucking nigga brother was asking for like a Twix bar? And like who is specifying anything there? Where's the evidence for any of this? Where the fuck were you, nigga? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, from what angle can we strike the hammer to get the nail in that like actually gives us anything? Like, you have like almost not potentially infinite, but such a wide array of different angles you can strike a hammer to hit a nail. And we're just like collecting them like little infinity stones when it comes to the evidence for, conflicts. And if you don't even have one, you don't know what you're talking about because the only way that you know it is from the evidence. And you're trying to look at the conflict without putting yourself there.
Yeah, and
So,
like I'm
mm,
thinking about like because I guess we were talking about like contracts. I'm trying to think of how like like standing in reach might apply to this because that's like an important part of title tracing is like these like two terms standing in reach
mhm.
as well, which
I'm not too familiar with them.
yeah, I mean like the
Like
terms it's meant to kind of like unite like all of the things like abandonment and all this the blocking and
Mhm,
proviso, all this stuff and try to like turn it into like this whole unitary thing that we can just kind of apply to anything. But
mhm,
um like yeah, I mean, I guess to just kind of put it in the exact words that G has in his writing, it's like uh reach is kind of like any kind of exclusionary action on something, right?
mhm,
And whether that like exclusionary action, that reach, is justified or not, is what like standing is asking of reach,
mhm,
right? Because reach is like the whole thing, uh, as it is, and then standing is kind of like a question that we would ask. Uh, so it's like, and G also says it's like standing is like a normative, like let it stand is like a normative thing, but it's also just like the fact of like a standing distinction in the world that I was the person who reached for this thing in nature, but now here you come along as the latecomer, and now you're reaching for what I have that I've homesteaded from nature, right?
mhm. I kind
Uh,
of think of it as like a Venn diagram when it comes to forestalling, where like you know, there's these two different bubbles, and then when it comes to like forestalling, it's like one of the bubbles just almost completely encircles the other bubble to the point where it's like it has like hardly anything it can do with it. Um,
mm.
because like specifically the term like reaching over, it's just like the bubble is over looming this other bubble to the point where it's like it's reached over into to other gang territory.
But yeah, it's like I'm like reaching into your bubble. It's like when I'm reaching across, I'm
Mhm,
like reaching across some barrier to your property.
mhm,
And yeah, so and like
mhm,
the like standing is just like the process of asking all these questions and then coming to like this determination where it's like, okay, well, from all of this evidence that we've seen, it looks like this guy is just totally a latecomer, right? Like this guy like jumped over this guy's fence and is like breaking down this guy's door, and it's like, yeah, this guy is like a latecomer.
mhm. And I guess is standing on standing determined by reach, like where the latecomer I guess stands is determined by the exclusionary actions.
Yeah, like the type of exclusionary action, and that's why like G also says it's like you know, you can reach farther than you can stand, but you can't stand farther than you can reach. Where it's like
Hmm.
if I'm reaching for something, I'm not always gonna be uh like I'm not always gonna have standing over that. right? And so in that way, like reach can kind of like outrun standing.
Mhm. I
Um,
guess I guess that does make sense for the metaphor because I can reach further than I can stand.
right, yeah. But it's like, yeah, you can
uh,
reach farther than you stand, and it's like, um, there's like a really good way that G puts it, where he puts it in like very like ordinary like physical language of like, okay, well, what does standing mean in like physical language? So
mhm. Well, really, standing is like, from what I understand, standing is a point of observation, and then like reaching is how far you can uh overhang. So
uh,
like in the case of conflicts, you know, you can you can overloom more than you actually are able to you know, I guess justify, more than you know is safe there, more than you can reach further than uh,
kind of.
this
I
is
mean,
something like that.
I can read it. Um, in ordinary physical language, standing implies that at each relevant step there is something that can support it, bear its weight, and keep it upright. Nothing stands without the ground being right there under it, present, demonstrable, and thus unequivocal at every relevant step. Let it stand as a
That is
normative
true.
phrase. But it is simply the fact of a standing distinction in the world. For without such standing, incompatible claims may simply be made on the same non basis, where they can proliferate without constraint. Um, so yeah, it's like there's some grounds for the
Mhm.
reach to be had, right?
That is, I see. That is true. That makes it a bit more clear. I was trying to get at that, but I just wasn't like thinking about the fact that there has to be ground to stand on for
Right.
first thing first.
Well, one thing that's
Um,
different from the general like libertarian analysis of this sort of conflicts and things like this is that they don't start with self ownership, whereas title tracing does. And the self ownership is what the ground is. Because when we say like does something stand or not, what we're kind of asking is, uh, does the like the sort of steps that you took here in terms of like each reached thing, like the materials that you used to make a fence. How did you get those materials to build that fence to embroider your house? Well, you had to own the materials, and then you had to own the tools that you used to get those materials, and it all eventually comes back to self ownership at a certain point, and that's
Yeah.
like your base case.
okay, so we're going back to that now. Good that I never rejected it. Because uh, Zulu was one of like the first people who invalidated the self ownership basis for
Really?
law. Yeah, no, he said that like we don't start with self ownership.
Hmm.
Well,
Um,
the title tracing thing is more of a it's for analysis more than it's for justification. So it might be true from a justificatory like perspective that you don't start with it, that you start with like the first comer and latecomer type thing. Um,
mhm.
but when it comes to this, I would say it's more helpful.
Well, what I remember it was is the I think it was the justification for the first comer principle in the first place that Zulu had said that self ownership was invalid in that instance. So in that in that case, I do think self ownership is relevant because we can trace back pretty much everything that's going on to some sort of allocation of resources, some sort of allocation of scarce means toward specific ends. Um,
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not gonna understand the first comer late comer principle at all without self ownership.
I mean, you can't understand it at all without property rights and the concept of exchange. That is one of the more
Right.
important things about conflict, is that you have to already have property rights established. But I remember Zulu comes into uh, the understanding of conflicts um, a skeptic of the first comer principle. Like, he doesn't have it established yet. He doesn't
Interesting.
have the idea of property rights established going into conflicts. He's like, okay, we have like a conflict. Well, this one's contradictory and this one's contradictory. That therefore this is like the only option that's left. But I always sided with Rothbard's, um, approach, which was that there is always some sort of exchange going on that assumes ownership every step of the way. Because in human action, you are exchanging a specific state of affairs for another state of affairs, and then you get into the economy, and you get into, you know, trade, and there is
Yeah.
like this exchange that's going on. It's like, well, when you exchange this, it implied that you first had to have owned it, and that's where the distinction comes from in the first place.
Yeah, and the whole requirement for that to be the case is basically just like an extension of the whole idea that it's like, well, property rights is meant to like structure trade, right? It's meant to
Mm-hmm.
kind of bear the weight of this thing we call trade that we can do with each other.
Mm-hmm. There's two different conceptions of what property rights is for, and one of them is to structure trade. The other one is to resolve conflicts. It's like it does resolve conflict, but that's not like the point of property rights, because the point of property rights is not to get into conflicts to resolve them.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that. Well, I think one
Yeah.
of the major innovations of title tracing is that it narrows the scope to like analytic one rather than a justificatory
Mm-hmm.
one. Because currently, what we have when we try to do these analyses of these hypotheticals is we'll try to be like, well, was he being ethical? Was he selfish? Was he being rational? And it's like you have to do this whole justifying thing each time you respond to a new hypothetical, instead of being like, this is how we analyze it, and now that we have this analysis done, we know who the first comer is and the late comer is. Let's just like, who's right? Well, it's the first comer. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's separate domains.
I was
Yeah, because it's like the whole process would just be like totally bogged down if we had to like justify it to people who just don't believe in property rights. Because like it's everything, like all of our legal theory has to work with people who just disagree, right?
Mhm. I mean, I was at the ahead of the curve, I think, from you guys about the whole justificatory approach versus, the more analytical approach, because I remember it didn't start with law for me. I wasn't like, I kind of only just now thought about it with respect to law, but I remember ethics more broadly, stuff such as like, oh, were you being rational there? You know, I I remember I was dealing with like a lot of rationalists in the ANO project, because I remember like Arshad would do this thing where he would, like somebody would say something and then Arshad would be like, yeah, well, you got to justify that. It's like, why, does this other thing not enhance your pleasure more than another thing? It's like, I don't know. I really got to think about that one. Oh, was I being irrational there? Uh, um,
I mean, yeah, it's
You
more
know,
like
it's the
to
same.
talk about this with somebody. I shouldn't have to convince them that like property rights are correct, right? I should just be like
Mhm.
this is just how the property rights work. Like it doesn't matter if you like agree or not. Like this is just how it's gonna work.
Well, the reason that people rationalize and take like a justificatory approach to ethics specifically is because they don't let anything, and I mean literally anything else, inform it. It
Yeah.
is a self contained ethic. It's like we assume these premises, let's like deduce the conclusions from them. So I remember it used to get as bad as like your ice cream flavor is irrational, and then it got even worse to ice cream isn't rational. And I remember um Arshad saying that like, what makes the taste of ice cream rational? You know, does it that the way it goes on your taste buds? And I remember Schizoid was just like, I just it tastes good. Ice cream is yummy. It it satisfies my satiation for ice cream. I was like, but why do you value that? And you'd have to like psychoanalyze Schizoid over his enjoyment of ice cream. And then I remember I provided a uh, a Rothbard quote specifically about pizza toppings, which was in the situation where you are at a pizza restaurant and you have to order, two toppings in order to get a discount on the pizza. The two toppings is pretty much hardly relevant. You could pick any two toppings. It's just the whichever ones you like. It's very haphazard. You just like, pick two toppings because the end is that you want, the discount on the pizza. So you could have picked. Most people will pick an arbitrary two toppings just to have their, you know, discounted pizza because the point isn't the toppings. The point is the fucking discount. And I was like, you're not getting the point about why people have ice cream or why they pick a certain ice cream flavor. You don't sit there and, you rigorously choose a flavor. You already know what kind of ice cream you like, and you pick a flavor because the point is that you just want ice cream.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, but why do you value ice cream? And it's like, well, then, you're going to a broader scope, and the broader scope is that, like, the ice cream itself is not even, like, you know, special here. The thing that you want is just a satisfaction of a fucking sweet tooth. And, everybody likes, maybe not everybody, but, you want something sweet. It's the context in which something sweet is important. Why it would, be like a reward or something.
Yeah.
Like you did something good. The ice cream will not tarnish your health. In fact, it will probably benefit you in some way because, now you're like treating yourself as having the self-esteem to reward yourself for you doing something. So it's like it's you only get that from epistemology. You only get that from like looking at your own life. You can't get that just from ethics. And I remember you get some really nasty, there's always nasty consequences to rationalism. That's what I learned. You will either, be like, I'm going to shoot somebody for the lifeboat, some random innocent person. Yeah, I'm just going to shoot him for the lifeboat so I can save my own life. Or you get stuff like, you have like a circle around you and you're like, were you being rational? And it's like, were you applying reason?
Yeah, I mean that's
Um,
just like another thing with epistemology is that you're just gonna embody all of your rationalizations, you know.
mhm. No, you're fucked either way. You can't have self-contained ethics, and you can't have self-contained law. But I think a lot of the time, um, I think it might be because people treat like X thing as more fundamental, and therefore, it's like downstream from everything else. So, like, if you know a
It's
lot
just
about
like
economics,
yeah, it's just like I have X and I have Y. Uh um what do I do? What do I do?
okay, buddy, let's see you take a crack at it.
Let's see. Interesting.
It's like,
Yeah. I mean, I've been
well,
thinking lately that I mean, that just the last few days, I've been being like, I think rationalism might be the one of the most dangerous like mistakes you can make in philosophy, and it's just so much more prevalent than I thought it was before.
it's one of the most there's two ways it can go about. Actually, are there? Um, no. No, I don't think there are. No,
Like I
I
think the
think it only
requirements
leads
of
to
knowledge might be important here to understand it.
Mhm. That is
Um
the other thing. The evidentiary basis of knowledge is something that they don't have. It's just like the categorical source of knowledge. Does it fit the categories? Did it fit
yeah.
reason? Did it go in the square hole? Did your choice to pick mint chocolate chip ice cream go in the square hole? Okay, good.
Were you acting
Yeah.
rationally when you put the pineapple on the pizza?
Was your ass thinking rationally when you put that fucking pineapple on your
That
pizza?
dirty pineapple. Gross.
Like, were you being rational when you chose mushrooms over sausage on your pizza? It's like, you know, this is where ethics matters least. When you're ordering fucking toppings on a pizza to get a discount. And that was one of the most important things to be pointed out about ethics is that like those things are so second nature to you. You don't even really have to think about it because you already understand your preferences. They've been, developed throughout pretty much your entire history of your life up until then.
Yeah. Oh
I
my god, wait. Yeah. Dude, I just realized another thing about like Lights' whole thing is that it's like he's definitely created this kind of like category instead of just like looking at like what he's supposed to be looking at when he's doing legal analysis. It's just like, all right, I've created this like category, this thing called this like causal structure, and this is what it is. And then I just gotta like go through this like causal chain, and then I'll find it. I'll find the what the correct legal analysis, like the legal judgment is.
I think that like maybe somebody would have levied that criticism to him already if he weren't such a bitch.
Well, yeah, I mean he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen.
Dude,
I
like
don't know. He seems
And it's
pretty
like I've
intense.
talked to him. I've talked to him, bro. Like, and G said this too. Like, I remember I was having an argument. I guess G must have like looked at it, and he messaged me. He's like, "Bro, I almost want to tell Lights that like his theory runs on nothing. Like, it's just empty."
bro runs on fucking like 0.1 ounce of lighter fluid.
Yeah, it's just like it just runs on these like just like it's basically just symbol. Just like what even is this, right?
Just thinking of the SpongeBob in the SpongeBob brain, like running around and but like did Lights is genuinely one of the most toxic individuals I've ever argued with about anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's very
Like,
aggressive.
not only aggressive, but like he he's super. I almost want to say like he think he a trooper. Like he bro think he the trooper or some shit. Like
Hmm.
he think he the fucking Spartan. Like he's like yelling and screaming into war, but it's like he's got like a code of honor and shit. Like I remember you know, I was arguing with him about science and philosophy, neither being like one started before the other or anything like that. And I remember like he was
Dude,
super against that.
somebody asked me that question recently, and I was just like, I don't even know if that's like what you want to be asking, to be honest. One
Peikoff
came
talks
before the
about
other.
Yeah, Peikoff talks about how it's not even like a valid question either. It's like neither one started first. We just were like, we had a reason to integrate fact around the same time that we were discovering facts.
Hmm.
So, but like I remember I was arguing with him about it, and then like he got super fucking upset. He asked me the same question 12 times while
Oh
I
my
was
god.
still trying to write out my first response. I I remember like I told him that he was Scrappy Doo and he got really upset.
I remember, I think it was G who said that Lights told him to kill himself.
No.
Bro.
Oh yeah, no. Like I remember I told him I was done arguing with him for the night, and the next morning he told me to kill myself. And he told me
You
that I
mulled
was
it
like
over, bro. That's
he was like,
funny.
you're fucking evil. Um, like I remember the whole reason that he was saying it as well, by the way, was because I had like he had to feel offended on behalf of Zulu about what I said about him in the live stream that we had looking at Christian M and Zulu's debate. Um, he said that like I was like being super, bad faith towards Zulu. And I was like, I don't even know how. I was like, I was just saying real shit, and he got so fucking heated, but it was
Mm.
so funny because like I remember I was like, dude, just like take a fucking like chill weed or
Yeah, take a
like
chill pill, man. Take a chill pill.
just like take like a all natural organic herbal tea, man. Like, please calm the fuck down. And then I remember he like gave me this whole response about like, it's a rational thing to say. Or, like, here's my code of honor. And I'm just like, like I don't need to know that you're like a green beret and telling people to kill themselves or some shit. Like, but when that's the kind of guy who's like at the front of, you know, a
Like the guy
theory.
who's trying to do the legal, like trying to like figure out like a theory for legal analysis. It's like, okay, bro, like we gotta just like we gotta just push this guy to the side, man. Like he's just gotta go. Like
It's just like the fucking angry guy from Inside Out. Like he just gets so when you see somebody like that, all I do is like laugh because he's just like he
picture like
gets
a little kid,
so
bro. Like a little kid, and you
yeah
put like
no.
your hand on his forehead, and he just can't touch you, bro. Like.
Oh my god! Honestly, lights would bite me. No, he'd tell me while he's trying to grab my face about his like code of honor, about like how like he abstains from biting from people. He's doing me justice.
I
He's
could
trying to
bite you
grab
right
my face
now.
in good faith. You know,
Yeah.
it's I almost it reminds me of a lot of people who will do the same thing, where they are like, oh, I'm being like super, moral and ethical here. I'm like being super particular because I, you know, set up a chess game for myself to do something really fucking nasty. Like Lights will be like kill yourself, but then he'll be like no, but I'm like being super rational right now about telling you to kill yourself because I like didn't tell you to do this, and like you know I made a little game for myself along the way to tell you to kill yourself, just so like I thought about it real hard, man. Like some people just like set up like a little like a puzzle for them to solve just to tell you to kill yourself, or just so
Yeah,
that
like
they feel
it
it's
sounds
more.
like like it genuinely sounds like he's thinking like, oh yeah, like this is like an amazing gotcha. This is amazing gotcha moment right here.
It's an amazing gotcha because he made a puzzle for himself that he feels so glad that he solved just to tell me to kill myself. Like people will make up shit genuinely just to do what they were going to do in the first place, so that way they can feel like they earned it. Like he earned, telling me to kill myself because he made up like a mind puzzle for him to solve just to make it rational somehow. That's that's very common, and I guess they kind of see that in the causationism stuff. Um,
Yeah, and like we're trying to avoid like all of, like the like philosophies like stuff. Like we want to make it like super like we want it to have like a lot of brevity and for it to be
mhm.
like very clear and not oh like I borrow the theory of causation from objectivism. This is what I use. It's like no no no
Oh
no
yeah,
no like
that's bad. Oh
Well,
god.
speaking of making it brief, I think that I remember telling you, Stratino, that like this formalism stuff, it seems like it's complicated, but honestly, it's pretty simple. As long it's really just a matter of like, I mean, for the most part, it's a matter of treating the symbols as English words and then reading it from
Mhm.
left to right. So I'm
Mm,
thinking that because that's kind of the last main thing. I mean, there was most of the stuff that we talked about were kind of through. Let's see here. So we talked about reach, we talked about standing, forestalling. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when we say forestalling, it's kind of like the title tracing equivalent of aggression, and
yeah
that really serves to like sort of distinguish the justificatory terms,
mhm,
which is like aggression, from the ones that we're analyzing a conflict with, which is forestalling. Um, then there's abandonment, which is kind of like an abandonment of exclusion, so like of reach,
mm,
and proportionality and evidentiary reasoning. That was something that you and G discussed on a stream, and we'll want to probably
mhm,
learn more about that as we write about it. But in the VC text, I put this thing here,
mhm,
and at the top we have definitions. So like TI0, that whole thing is essentially just the initial title. It's for I. So like there's I and J are the agents, and then we have Q, which is just some letter for a node, and
mhm,
um, and then on the bottom we have like the standing function for Q. So over this node belongs to either positive standing or negative standing. So then, you have all these symbols here in the kitchen sink. The reason that I call it that is because I originally had a bunch of different like axioms, and that was going to be like the basis for it. And then I realized that they all just could just become one thing. And so this kitchen sink thing, just all the ingredients in one, is described in like plain English terms below it by one.
So it's like the gumbo.
What's that?
It's like the gumbo of terms. It's like all of the shit thrown in a stew.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the way that I would read this is I would just go through each symbol. So like like I standing over Q prime evaluates to
Mhm,
positive if and only if is what that like little arrow means. If
mhm,
and only if Q prime is the self node is his own body, or all of these conditions are true, which is why it's in like a big parentheses. There exists Q, so there exists a node such that I standing over Q is positive, and Q reaches Q prime. So that kind of goes back to the whole thing with like you can't stand further than you reach or whatever it is. Essentially, you've got to reach that term via some other term. And what this means is because you could always swap in Q here for Q prime. You could always be like, okay, well, which node does that reach? And or what node reaches that one? And what you get out of that section there is this recursion, where Q has to have a term that reaches it, and then that term has to be reached by another term, and you get all the way back until you get to that Q prime is the self node. So that kind of makes it all traced. That's what that does there. And so you have just a succession where it's like you treat all these terms. They all originate from self ownership, and then they go to here. And then also the other condition is, and there doesn't exist another agent, J, like different than I, is what that doesn't equal I means, such that he has positive standing over Q prime. And that's just like the don't forestall sort of requirement there. So if there already exists some border around Q prime, if the agent already exists to have ownership over that thing, then obviously you can't. Your standing doesn't evaluate to positive, and because this standing function is either positive standing or negative standing, if all of these or if any of these, if one or two isn't fully satisfied, then your standing evaluates to negative. And so you just sort of look for that in a conflict as you kind of map the evidence out, and it'll sort of spit out this plus S, this standing.
Yes, sir.
And then on the bottom there is how you might like write that out. So like you can see that first I reaches Q, and then he reaches another reach term, and then he reaches Q prime. They both reach it, and then now you're trying to figure out, well, whose reach stands. And the person whose reach doesn't stand is the one forestalling. He's the latecomer. And the person whose reach does stand is the first comer, and he is obviously not forestalling.
Oh, that
Yeah, the
makes
bottom
sense.
is it's more like the bottom is mapping it out.
Mm-hmm.
I see. No, that's the most helpful part.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, no, I remember G and I talked about way back about property as like an inheritance thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I think I talked to you about that as well, which this is what I was getting at.
Me or Sakura?
I think it was you because I remember I was talking about with you the concept of property as inheriting all the way back to some sort of homesteading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I think I remember that conversation.
This was what I was referring to, where it's like we can take a specific property and then trace it all the way back to some sort of initial appropriation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then you have like trade, which is like this passes through this trade, keeps going, and then you have conflict, and then I guess here you're able to lay the string out and figure out you know who uh who is the latecomer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get it now. I think the thing was just like I'll be honest, I've literally never created a syllogism in my entire life.
Yeah.
I genuinely do not even know how to make a syllogism. I just I'm just really good at like looking at shit and figuring it out. Um, I really got that special attunement to affordances, and I just don't know how the hell to do a syllogism. I never mess with it. I used to make fun of people for making syllogisms. this makes a bit more sense. It's just like um it's just like a formalization of the same shit that I've already known. But I guess to be fair, it gives it a bit more conciseness. Like you can put a bunch of information just on like one page.
Yeah, and that
Hmm.
was like what it was about. Is like distilling it so that
Hmm.
it can
The way that
proliferate.
I think Sakura put it, that I thought was really good, was that the formalism is like uh, an evidence board, and then you put the strings connecting each piece of evidence, and it's like often you have to zoom out and look at the pictures themselves, but the lines, they help you sort of connect it in your mind. You kind of look back more
Yeah, it's like
easily.
one of those conspiracy boards. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the role it plays is relatively small in title tracing. And honestly, the thing that I'm realizing as I'm hearing this conversation, and I've just gotten this feeling the last few days, is that like this can't be perfect. Like this formalization can't be perfect. And I bet you there are issues with it that I'm just not aware of, even though I've been staring at it for a few days. And I think that, and I wrote that below as I was hearing you talk about like these things that Arshad was saying. And I was like, when you try to make something perfect or just complete from the start, I mean, to me, it feels like causationism is an attempt at this. Um,
Mhm.
instead of this like like this growing progression of knowledge, this growing folder, um, it's going to lead you to this like rationalistic loyalty to your old sucky ideas. And I think that's kind of the merit, honestly, in like not doing a lot of syllogisms, not doing a ton of deduction unless it's like really important, because you don't. And it honestly, it kind of it feels very similar to the way that G reads, right? He doesn't go through the whole thing step by step, page by page, and be like, did I read every letter of that? Do I have it all? You know, he just like searches for what he needs, and then he leaves the rest kind of like unknown. And that, so I think that automatically, uh, disposes you to being like, my understanding isn't complete, and it's going to just, and it's just getting better. It's just growing.
Mhm. No, I think that like people don't. I think the reason that I love uh like plants so much is the connection that I can make to knowledge and how I treat knowledge as well. Um, it's not even just knowledge, it's about every value that I have. It's just like anything I'm interested in, anything I do, I just treat it as like a plant. Like it just is growing. Like there's not like a it's always incomplete. Like it's always like, with a bit of an asterisk. You you really want to make sure to like, get a comfortable feel on the stuff that you're doing right now, because I know that like for sure the more that you just kind of like run a few laps on it,
Yeah.
you're gonna probably be able to like integrate it with stuff like Austrian economics and probably some stuff from epistemology, some other stuff from law, praxeology. It's going to be like you're less in the weeds about it, and you kind
Mhm.
of are able to explain it in a much better way. You're going to be able to like have less of a reach for words just to kind of get out what you're talking about, because that was how it was with law for sure. We didn't know how to talk about it because we hadn't yet integrated it with a lot of the concepts that were, you know, pretty much in one way or another pretty relevant to law. Like, we didn't need to, you know, come up with new terms for everything and like, you know, figure out this one way or another. We just like discover like, oh, Rothbard already talked about that. Found a new thing. And then, you know,
Yeah, that's
you
why we're really trying to
you
like
get
supplement
a more
the
huh?
That's why we're like really trying to like sit on this. Like I'm trying to not to like rush it, right? Until I have like this very like clear picture of like how I want it to.
Hmm. It's I mean, I've been working on some music stuff again because like literally I have a new musical idea every hour. It's exhausting. The kind of shit that I just have to write down every hour so I don't forget it, or like record it or something. I always have to have something near me. Um, but you know, you just grow it. You know, you have to trust. Like people have a difficulty trusting that you know their values are going to be there tomorrow. Um, they are like really worried that if they don't really grind at something, like if they really grind the axe at something immediately, that it's going to be left behind or left on the back burner or whatever. When really, like, the only way to juggle projects like that, the only way to really like juggle in life is one thing, one ball at a time, and only for a little bit, but you always come back to it later. Um, you know, like you're juggling this, and then you know you have to juggle to the next thing, and then you get back around to it again, and then you kind of have a better understanding of it, and it's just like a slow growth, slow development. That was what I had to learn. It's saved me like crazy. Like it's saved my ass a million times over. The kind of shit that you can do when you just trust that your values are sturdy and they're very robust and they're not gonna like be gone in a few days.
Hmm.
But I also feel like it's like people who think that they often like choose things that like can like disappear like at
Hmm.
any point. It's like they like choose things that are gonna be like on like it's gonna be like shaky, right? It's like, oh
Yeah,
well,
that's like the other
I've
thing. You have to.
chosen this job where I'm like so replaceable that I could literally get fired in like 5 seconds. Like,
It's like, yeah, you gotta choose what exactly it is you're juggling. If you're juggling like bombs, then you know maybe
yeah, yeah.
maybe they will explode on you. But like, it's it's really really grueling to you know, you feel a sense of fatigue when you sit. th- This is me specifically, I think. I don't know, maybe some other people have this issue too, where
Mm,
I will sit at a computer. I despise computers like more than anything else in the fucking world. I hate
same.
using a computer. I hate sitting down and using a computer. I hate typing on keyboards. I hate the posture I have to be in. I hate the ergonomics in total of a computer. I hate operating a computer. I hate every single conceivable thing about a computer. So when I use like a computer in order to write down melodies and like, you know, put down sheet music and stuff like that, I want to get to the computer already knowing exactly what I'm going to do so I can just breeze through it. And then when I start to feel this like horrible fatigue of having used a computer for too long, I just leave and then I wait to you know, get that feeling of like, oh, I should, you know, get back at this again. I'm feeling better about it, and I go back to it, and then, you know, I leave and do a bunch of other stuff. Like, it's really about balance. Like, I think,
Like I'm assuming you know how to use a computer, so it's not like a
I'm a bit of an old man. I kind of know how to use computers, but like I really hate computer terminology where it's like, no, you got to install the subcomponent part of NixOS into the operating system, and then you have to put the soft component in the grid ship like this. And I'm like, I don't know what any of that shit means. If you had said it like, you see this like, green ship. Do you had any characteristics about it? The thing I hate about computers is that it's all digital. I can't touch it. I can't observe it from many different perspectives. It's like it's all it's all talk. I swear. Like,
Oh yeah, it's all like kind of symbolic, and it's like if you don't know what the symbols
yes,
mean, it's like, uh, yeah, I don't know what any of these symbols mean.
it's it's
Like you're using
awful.
some new program, and you just have this wide range of like buttons in this software, and it's just like, what does any of this do? I don't know what any of this does.
For some people that's exciting, but like for me, I will press one button and I will fuck up everything that I was doing. I was like, oh shit.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I like doing that. I like pressing random buttons and figuring out what they do, and like, but like, yeah.
Dude, I was messing around with the MIDI because I mean I have a lot of instruments
Mhm.
but the only instruments that I don't have are drums, which is a shame. I really need to find drummers. Um, but I was trying
Yeah,
to,
find out what
you know,
drums.
I'm I'm really great at mixing. Like I'm great at making the drum sound genuinely real. It's just awful to tediously program note by note every single little drum thing. And like I think about it every time I do it. I'm like, there's somebody out there right now who is doing the exact shit that I'm doing in 2 seconds.
Right.
And it's called using the fucking drum set. There's some drummer out there who is like doing what is taking me an hour like a second.
Bro,
And
that's why I
that's
don't understand. Like, that's why I don't understand why people are so against like using like the most like streamlined way of doing something. It's like, bro, you're just making your life harder for yourself.
yeah, no, like I don't think that people understand exactly the what computers are a benefit of, and how like AI specifically is
Yeah, it's
just
like
like,
AI software. Like, they're all like part of like they all serve the same purpose.
yeah,
Like, there's a history of like moving from software to AI, and it's like the whole purpose is like just streamlining the process. It's like you want to like
yeah,
code something. Well, you don't have to spend like months learning how to code. You could just ask an AI to like do this, and then boom. It's like,
the shit that it's like genuinely the shit that we've been doing with computers for, 40 or 50 years. It's the
mhm.
same shit that AI is doing. And then everybody's freaking out that the AI is now doing the computer stuff more efficiently than what we
Yeah.
were having
It's
to
like,
do.
but bro, like software and AI is like different. You know, you're not actually doing it, but and it's like, well, you're not actually doing these things in the software either. So it's like, you know. It's like
Hmm.
if I wanted to edit a video and I had to like make an editor from scratch every single time I wanted to edit a video, it's like you don't have to do that because you just have like an editing software that you could just edit the video. And it's like the
Hmm.
editor does it all for you. You just press this button, and it's like that's like the same thing AI. It's like type up a prompt and then boom. It's like
Right.
I mean, the other thing with AI is that like it can't read your mind. Like it's not like there is not gonna be an occupation for people who are actually skilled with computers to fix problem or like basically fine tune it to exactly what they want it to be, because like
well,
AI
yeah,
is just like an algorithm. It's
yeah, because
like
AI can't understand language in the same way that we do. Like
mhm,
it'll get confused very easily on something that like talking to each other. It might be like super simple.
mhm. it's it's such a it's such a specific knickknack. Like, I swear, there is equally as many people who are trying to make it like play the drums physically as there are people who are terrified that it will actually play the drums physically. I'm like, you're both stupid.
Yeah.
There's like, for every company that is trying to get like some like physical AI robot to play the fucking drums, there's some Luddite out there who is like, oh my god, AI is gonna take over the world. And it's like,
Yeah, it's like
you're
the
falling
fear.
for it.
Like I've heard it so many times. It's like, oh man, like I just fear like somebody typing up a prompt and then being and they get to be called like an artist. It's like they're just like scared of change and they're just like they're just like scared of it.
I mean, I think the thing a lot of the time with like, because I was thinking about art specifically. Um,
But like yeah, it's like it's never gonna 100% like replace us
yeah,
either. Like
I was thinking about art specifically because I think people treat it as like a separate category. So then they're able to say like, "Oh, art is the AI doesn't just mess with computers, it's also doing art and stuff." And it's like, "Yeah, it's doing digital art on a computer. The AI isn't over here getting out the fucking like painting kit and like he puts a Bob Ross wig on and shit,
Yeah,
and
and it's
it's
like
like
in that
we're
sense, like
going.
the AI can't make the Mona Lisa or something like that. Like it can't make
We
these
are
like
going to use cadmium yellow and titanium white. Beat the devil out of it. It's like, what the fuck do you think it's doing? It's a bunch of fucking pixels. Just like the shit that you were already doing digitally online. Like when you use a paint bucket tool, for example. Oh, what? Is it such a big deal that you didn't, like, fill in every single pixel? No, you got the fucking computer to do it. Well, okay. I want, like, a specific design. A specific, like, you know, photo of a wizard goat painting. Okay, boom. I got it. The computer did it for me. Nothing fucking changed.
yeah.
It's I mean, people have like the same idea about like and I think this one kind of hits closer to home for me. Like uh just doing stuff with nature. Like if you're like growing a garden, there are certain like factory farms, for example, that will try to like they'll just like unironically try to un what is it like just they're trying to get more out of like animals and plants than they can sustainably do. And then there's like equally all these like vegans out there who are just like, no, that was evil, that was like this whole using nature for stuff is so evil. And then it's the same thing with like Luddites who are looking at like a bunch of companies who are trying to use AI for shit that it literally can't do. They're just like, you can't. This is so evil. This whole idea of AI, it's so evil. And it's like, you know, maybe it's just the what they're trying to use it for that they literally can't use it for. That's a bit nasty. But it's like there's so much great innovation that can go on that isn't factory farming. Like it's genuinely not even an efficient way of farming, it's an incredibly inefficient way of farming. And it's like, yeah, well, also large data centers are an incredibly inefficient way to store AI. So that's why we've been using like all of these like these off-grid computer things. I don't know shit about computers, but I do know for damn sure that like it's the same thing with factory farming where it's like they realized how inefficient it is to farm like 5 million blocks of corn.
Yeah, it's
So
also
like
like the
people are
water consumption thing that people have an issue with, as if it's not like the first thing that's consumed a lot of water.
which like to be fair, um I had seen that like they were genuinely like taking fucking water from like random people's streams, but that's because I think in those states, certain states, you don't have water rights.
Well, yeah, that's just a bit odd.
Yeah.
Here's a fact that that's relevant to the topic. When you think about these data centers, and when you think about, okay, everyone's storing things in the cloud, or for instance, if we take all of our uh, whatever kind of information it is, or if we basically invest AI with all of these, of course, I'm going to be anthropomorphizing here, but all of these responsibilities and the like. Well, what happens if there's a power surge of some kind, or if some kind of just a minor incident that would have affected no one
Mhm.
150 years ago? Well, this is one of the reasons why the U.S. government still uses microfilm. Has anyone here ever used a microfilm machine?
Oh, I have.
You have? It's
I
kind of
think
fun,
I have.
I've
but
never
those
used
I
things
one.
can
used it in
last
the government.
over
It
500
when going to
years. 500 years. The data on a piece of microfilm is viable for. And when you think about all of your electronics,
they're digitizing them now. At least in the public records are trying.
oh yeah. I mean, like it's digitized. But the thing is, though, with microfilm, is that it's so strong and sturdy, and it withstands as the elements, so to speak, that when it's in a well kept environment, you can basically consider it as
Yeah, that's the problem though.
permanent.
There's so many they lost so much data just because they didn't digitize it fast enough, and like I think there was like a hole in the wall somewhere and like in an archive, and the entire like wall of microfilm was lost, like hundreds and hundreds of newspapers. Not just hundreds. What am I saying? Thousands.
Well, that's one of the reasons too why a lot of when you have like microfilm and the like, you often have it many different copies of it as well in different locations. I mean, for instance, like if you it's certain universities like my own at Boston College, for instance, it is newspapers and records all over the world, basically. And there's often like databases and the like that have this kind of thing. But when you think of I mean, it's one of the problems with
I mean, they
microfilm,
do
though.
that with digital as well. They have
Right?
like
But the problem is with digital records, though, uh, it only takes a tiny little uh, error or a mistranscription, so to speak, or in order to corrupt a whole file, or to. But that doesn't happen with microfilm
that's why
anymore.
you save it a whole bunch of different times. I was saying
Oh yeah, even
virtually the
saving
same
it.
processes can happen. Same like
It's
mistakes and stuff can happen.
it's with microfilm. It's a bit different because you don't need internet access for microfilm. You don't need to be connected to a. All you
It's
need
even
is
worse. You have to go
magnifying
there.
glass. What's that?
It's even worse. You have to go there. You have to go to like
But
like
in
libraries and shit.
if you try let's say if there's like no electrical power whatsoever, or if some kind of EMP happens, well, you're going to be resorting to microfilm.
That's
It's
what you're saying.
basically, and these AIs and the like, they'd be fucked. You can't basically depend upon at least for uh, all areas of one's life, whether it be jobs, the maintenance of certain kinds of industries, or whatever it is, production in factories or whatever. I mean, you're ultimately going to need, uh, even now too, in certain industries, we can see the certain problems that AI is causing, especially the legal industry, um, because so many people have been relying upon uh, certain AI, uh, tools, not only to try and help them with, uh, let's say, uh, legal matters, but also to try and help them with, uh, let's say, uh, production, in factories or whatever it is, like navigating legal documents and crafting briefs and the like. But it's a huge problem because you need an actual person there to be able to correct AI when it doesn't even realize that it's going wrong. And then people who are unfamiliar with these kinds of topics, like for example, like lay people, if they are struggling with like trying to make like a lawsuit or whatever it is, well, they're going to be completely fucked. And I've seen this happen a lot when I've at one of my jobs that I do at the library. You often get patrons that come in and they need help with Chat GPT, and they basically treat it as a an all-knowing kind of tool of sorts. But yeah, I'm just rambling, so I'm going to let you guys
Oh
continue
yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I'm
I
trying to
mean,
remember.
well, yeah, no, like I think that just loops back around to my point, which is like trying to get more out of a piece of technology than is actually afforded by that piece of technology. Like,
Yeah.
like there's
They're treating it
so
like
much.
conscious.
Mhm. It's like there's specific things that you can do with AI that has a lot to do with computers and computer savvy stuff. And it's like, we can innovate the efficiency of using a computer because this whole conversation started because I fucking hate using computers. Um, can like get the AI to do all the stuff that I'm like really bad at, such as you know, writing, storing information. We're really bad at storing information as humans because we don't really store information. It's like a continuous perceiving and acting thing. So like, there's a lot of stuff that can be used there where AI would have merit, where it's able to organize information digitally. But then, there are like people who are trying to like get it to like be your fucking personal assistant and shit. And it's like, oh wow, it's like they're doing a really bad job of it. It's like it doesn't know where you are. It's like, hitting you in the face randomly, or it's like hitting random objects, or like it's like, it genuinely sucks at understanding like all of the stuff that we're really good at, specifically. And that's kind of where it gets a bad rep, and deservedly so, because you're trying to get it to do a bunch of stuff that it literally just cannot do. It's outside of the domain of what it's for. Like you can't get it to play drums. Like we're really good at playing drums. We can play drums super well. We can play musical instruments super well. If you got like an AI to, like play a sick ass drum solo, it would absolutely suck at it because the kind of locomotive system, the kind of perceptual system required for doing a lot of that dynamic stuff is just not what an AI does. It does computer shit.
Yeah, and like what it's gonna
It's
do with like a sick drum solo is it's gonna do what you were trying to do, but like automatic. It's like placing every single note in the freaking
yeah.
the software.
And the way that it's doing that is it's just taking probably like the database that it has in order to like, program a drum solo, and that's a different thing. It's a very different thing, and
Oh
people will
yeah.
be fooled by the fact that the AI is like, oh wow, it's truly playing the drums. It's like it's not seeing shit. It's not looking at it. It's not like moving itself around in like a locomotive way and in a dynamic way. It's like we had to program all of this stuff in order to do it. It's like you program I am human, and then the computer says I am human. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like if person asks, "Are you human?" Play script. I am human. It's like, whoa.
Whoa.
Hmm.
So dumb.
Well, this is harkening back to what you said earlier, but I thought that your idea about trusting yourself was very interesting. Um, like I often find myself doubting my ability to like remain objectivist or as objectivist if I'm not like kind of immersed in it. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm
Mhm.
not at the forefront here, I feel like I'm a little worried that my philosophy would kind of deteriorate as the kind of pressure of modern culture just like creeps in over time. So I
Mhm.
wonder what you think of that, and if you could like elaborate on your trusting your values thing.
I get it too. I think anybody gets it.
Yeah.
Where you are not participating in like a whole uh intellectual process with a whole bunch of other people, where other people are making great innovations in philosophy and science, and you're just like left behind because you're not taking an effort to participate in a lot of the new integrations that are going on. You're not like keeping up with the flow of information. But I think that it's less of like a I feel, less objectivist, or like I feel less uh like a scientist. It's more like I feel discouraged because I'm not like keeping up with this sea of information that's going on. Like when you're out of the loop for a little bit, it often feels very discouraging to come back and people are like moving on without you.
Mhm.
You hop off the train for a little bit and then
Bro,
somebody is like, come up with this crazy thing and everybody's talking about this new thing and you're like, oh, well now I feel like I got left behind a little bit. And like genuinely, that is one of the hardest things to deal with when you're participating in philosophy. It can be like really discouraging when you're not with all your like intellectual buddies and you're like, talking about stuff, and then maybe you leave to do something and you're really immersed in something for a little bit, and then you come back and it's like everybody's like beyond your because everything's almost beyond you sometimes, and you just like you feel a little upset about it. But I think that the way that you get around that is specifically that it takes very little to learn a lot.
Mhm.
Um,
I feel
it.
I feel like it's so related to what me me, you and G have been saying, like especially G who introduced me to like the whole concept of just like life is motion. It's like
Mhm.
whenever I'm not in here like doing stuff, like I get that kind of feeling that voyant and you were talking about when it's like I haven't been in here talking about this stuff, or like I haven't been like thinking about it. It hasn't been like on my mind like a whole lot. And I've just been like
Mhm.
living my life for the most part. I get like uh I get kind of like rusty on it, and it's like it's like I'm not kind of like doing the kind of actions that I would need to kind of maintain this level of uh like being in touch with all of, like the different concepts and stuff. It's like
Mhm.
you're kind of like not moving in that direction.
Mhm. And honestly, the way that I've treated the server more recently is that I'm just like living my life, and then I think about something and then I just say it, and then usually it starts some sort of conversation, and that's how you do philosophy. You're like actually you know thinking about stuff, like you're seeing stuff that's going on in the world, and you come to an integration. You just like you've been you know observing things for long enough. We've been like doing things for long enough, and then something just kind of comes full circle. Um, you can make a new inference on something, and then you just kind of mention it, and then you are able to bounce back off of what other people are saying, and then you can kind of make a bigger integration. But the hardest part is always kind of getting back to it again, um, because I think that it's not even just with philosophy. Like I don't think that this is specifically special to the more broader issue of like the hardest thing to do when you're getting back into a project is just doing it. Like, it's sometimes like you wake up in the morning and you feel really groggy and you just don't understand how it feels to get outside and be doing stuff in the moment and how good it feels to do it because you're not at the right point in time to understand it. You just have to like you have to take the first steps, the initial steps of like getting up and putting your shoes on and
Yeah,
going outside,
that
and
reminds me of
then you
that.
understand what that means.
Yeah, that reminds me of that conversation that you and G were having about getting started on that project that you guys were doing, where it's like,
Hmm.
um, it's like we have to like keep the ball rolling, and it's like, well, you're not going to be able to like do that until you actually start. And so it's
Hmm.
like, but we're not there yet. And then it's like, well, I want to do it, and it's like, but like I'm not doing it right now, so it's like I don't know what it's gonna be like. It's like
Yeah, like
like prevents me
everybody
so
wants to be all the way. Everybody wants to be all the way at the finish line, but they don't know what it means to even get like half of the way or like a quarter of the way done
hmm
until they actually try. And then I think that I think that from a you're from an outsider's perspective on it. That's what it is with like the whole thing about like you're out of the philosophy train for a little bit and you come back and everybody's like talking about all of this shit. It's like you feel like an outsider because you were an outsider. And from an outsider's perspective, you don't you are able to look at like the whole oh, I have to learn this and I have to learn this and I have to learn this and I have to learn all this stuff. But it's like when you
yeah,
actually get into the circle, you don't understand, and you hardly even notice all of the different increments. You're just doing them so seamlessly, and you're already like halfway there, and you don't even realize, and then suddenly you're like a 75% of the way there, and then you're caught up with everybody else before you even know it because you took the initiative to actually feel like you're capable of learning all the new stuff. If it's actually good integrations, if people have actually been you know refined on this stuff, it should be really easy to learn. Like, it's
yeah. I feel
hardly
like
like.
that recontextualizes like what I've been saying about like how I got into all this stuff in here because it was like I remember I was always like, man, like when I first talked to G, like it all sounded like nonsense. Like he was speaking like an
Mhm.
alien. And it's like, well, it was never really nonsense. It was never really that he was like speaking like an alien. It was more like it was more like I was an outsider looking in and I was just like I was looking from the outside. I'm like, there's all this
Mhm.
stuff in there that I can see it, but like I don't understand what it means. Like there's something I need to know that's in there.
Mhm.
And then
I
like
think.
coming here, it's just like stepping inside and like doing all this stuff.
Mhm. I think that, yeah, like people have the wrong mindset. Um, they have like the wrong idea going in about what their goal should be. Um, like if you're new to this stuff, the first thing that you should be thinking of is, or the goal you should have in mind is not like, I want to know it all. I want to know this stuff. Like I need to be just like everybody else right now.
Well,
It
yeah, it's
should
just
be,
like I
I don't
remember
want to
the
be an
thought.
outsider to it.
Yeah, like I remember the thought. I was like, there's just this thing that I don't know, and I remember just like hitting like a wall at the time. Like I was just like, man, it's just like I'm hitting this wall. It's like I'm having these conversations that are kind of like beyond what I know right now. And I'm like, I don't know what I need
Mm.
to know. And then I remember then I was talking to G, and I was like, yeah, this is like what I need because I don't understand any of it. I was like, I need to know this.
Yeah. It's um and then once you're in, you're at the point where you are now, and it's like, it doesn't feel so gratifying to like genuinely have just taken the first step. Like, it takes um a lot to get into it, to not feel like an outsider, and it takes so little to do everything else.
Yeah,
It's
because I remember kind of like the first time I did like my first like full circle on EcoPsych, and it was like it was like this full circle thing, and I remember I was like, wow, like that's incredible. Like I think it was like the ambient array or something like that. I think G was telling me it was one of my first videos that I had on the channel. I just remember I was like, oh, like I get it now.
I mean, yeah, it's like compounding knowledge, right? You're like all those like fucking Wall Street bros. They'll like make a fucking investment, and then like 30 years later they made like $1 billion on it or whatever the fuck, and they're like, "Bro, I'm so glad I put like $5 in there." And then, like, relevantly, you just do a little bit. Like, you read a little Rothbard, you look at a little Gibson stuff, you talk to a few uh you know people who are interested in the ecopsych stuff or objectivism, and you watch a Peikoff lecture, and then, out of nowhere, you're just like kind of spurting through all this stuff. Like, the knowledge just compounds, and then, out of nowhere, it's like 5 months later, and you're looking back, and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I took a little bit of effort just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and it's like it's definitely important to learn like what is best for you to learn that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
like the reading is definitely like important. Like I think a lot of people definitely should read because I don't think you're gonna be able to get like everything just by like talking to somebody. You know what I mean? But it's
Hmm.
like even when I'm talking to like G or whatever, like I will be like, you know what? Like I think it's best that I just read this like right now as we're talking about this to really get me to understand. Like I'm just gonna read this right now while we're in this freaking call. We're just gonna read this together.
Hmm.
And like that always like that seems to work for me like better than me just like going back later. I'm just kind of like listening to it while I'm like doing something else.
I
Well,
think
it's
they're.
interesting. I think it's interesting to me that like you guys kind of come at that trusting your values thing from like a, if you're removed from the group and you're coming back to it, how do you get caught up again? And to me, like that, I suppose that seems like, you got to learn, you got to grow your knowledge. Um,
Mm.
but the for me, the more worrying thing is that like if I spend too much time away, that I might be like corrupted somehow by the, you know, philosophy of the modern day. You know what I'm saying? And then when I come back, it's like, or maybe at some point, if I've spent too long away, I'd be like, I'd turn away from it. Out of this like,
Bro. It's like it's literally it's the intellectual continuity. It's like you're coming out of it, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of like I feel like I'm kind of like not really there anymore. Let me like reconnect, like let me re-enter this kind of continuity, this like stream of intellectual thought, and it's like, all right, I'm back. Like,
Mhm.
Interesting. So I guess as you feel yourself drifting, kind of you kind of pull yourself back.
Mhm.
yeah, it's like you just re-enter the intellectual like continuity. Like you're like you can hop back on the like this like history of like thought, right? And it's like this continuity obviously continues without you, right? Like if you were to leave, it's
Mhm.
like everybody in here is gonna keep going, but it's like you can hop back in, and then it's like you're gonna be like caught up.
Right.
Mhm.
Interesting.
I think just remember like the balance. Um, you're juggling a lot of things in life. Um,
Mm.
you you don't want to leave philosophy for too long. If you feel yourself straying, like Sakura said, you just you know you go back. You remember that you have to remember what you're juggling. You don't want to drop
Mm.
something like philosophy. If you feel like you're losing your grip on philosophy while juggling all these other things, you want to take priority to that. It's um it's it's pretty much with anything. You have a certain feeling about it, and I think that a lot of people do not treat feelings as like real reflections of stances about reality. Like they're like,
Mm.
you know, uh I wouldn't say emotions specifically, but like feelings, you get like a sense of discomfort, or like a genuine feeling of unease or discomfort of like I've been doing this for too long, or like I have been neglecting this thing. That's like a real feeling that reflects a real disposition and reality that you now need to develop a certain effectivity in order to maximize. Like you don't want to think like, oh, the feeling is bad. Like I feel myself starting to get a little warped right now. It's like no, that's a good feeling to have. Like if you feel like you're getting a little like sideswiped, like you're getting a little lost, then it's like you should actually kind of break that down, and then realize like, oh, that's because there's a disposition I'm leaving, that now I need to take priority to that, and it's just that little bit. Again, it just takes that little bit of like philosophizing, and then you're back on track.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
it's
that's true.
definitely
Like your
yeah,
emotions will alert you.
Hmm.
it's definitely kind of what Nathaniel Brandon said about like
Yeah.
self-esteem, how it's like the immune system of the what did he say, like the spirit? I can't remember. It's like the immune system, like your immune system, like your social immune system or whatever,
Hmm.
something like that. I
It's
don't remember exactly, but
well,
it's like philosophy is definitely an important part of that, and
hmm
so
well,
you're gonna
because
feel
philosophy is the immune
philosophically,
system.
yeah, because it's like you're gonna feel philosophically disempowered at some point, and it's like you have to like work that, right? It's like it's something you have to train, and if you stop like exercising it, obviously it's gonna get like weaker, and so you gotta come back to it.
Mhm. It's I mean, I almost see it as like, when you're hungry, you eat.
Mm,
It's as simple as that. It's like, the hunger is real. The hunger reflects a real disposition. You need to eat. Um, it just,
right.
with, some other things, it can be more complicated. You don't have to eat all the time, but, you know, maybe eat every now and then. So you don't like starve to death, maybe.
Yeah, and it's
But
like the very moment that you just like push it out, like push it to the side, it's like you've like lost it, right? Like
mhm.
you've lost this very valuable like signal that you need to like do something. It's like if I'm hungry and I'm like, oh, push it away, push it away. It's like I'm gonna starve to death. Like,
Well, what I think actually might be worse than starving to death is that you start to develop yourself to work off of less, and you start to like develop headaches, and you start to, you're either trying to push past what you can do, you just start feeling awful, or you just start doing way less because you're neglecting something that you need to be doing, and your quality of life starts slowly deteriorating. um I mean, for food, that was kind of a real thing for me because like I I used to not drink enough water.
ooh, yeah.
And if you don't drink enough water, you just genuinely feel dizzy all the time. You feel super sluggish. Your mouth is dry all the time. It's really awful. But it's not like you feel I'm thirsty because you're not thinking about it. You start to just like develop the disposition, the feeling of like a disposition as just normal. Like it's like you don't even think about like, oh, I should drink water. That's a genuine privilege. It's a genuine privilege to feel and feel a disposition and actually understand it. You develop that by developing self-esteem. You are working toward like really deep and rich emotional understanding of like what you identify in the environment, like what are the dispositions here, why am I feeling this way, and you actually like do emotional investigation. Objectivism doesn't have a lot on emotional investigation. I know that there's like some about Brandon, but um it's it's largely unexplored, the real power that emotions have for like life, and especially like uh you know uh continuity throughout your life, how important it is to have like a really rich understanding of the way you feel, and what that actually might reflect in reality.
I think that a lot of that has to do with like I think objectivists have a tendency to look at emotions as like whims, you know. They don't have a cognitive content or anything like that. And so it leads them to like dismissing them more often than other people do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a mistake. Because I mean
Oh,
I want to read more of Nathaniel
Even
Branden.
yeah, even Peacock says it's a mistake.
Yeah. Where
there's
does he say
there's
that?
oh,
Understanding objectivism.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that one looks good too.
it is. It's a great lecture series.
Oh, I
Um,
was thinking about the book.
the book too.
Yeah, the book was
I know that
bad.
the lecture series has like really bad quality. That's why I do prefer reading the book.
Hmm.
Um, but there's like two different kinds of objectivist. They're kind of related, actually. I think it might not even be two different kinds. There is like simultaneously, Dagny didn't feel. Howard Rourke was not feeling. I don't feel about you. I'm not thinking about you.
Not
You
thinking
know,
about
that
you.
that kind
Yeah.
of thing is just like, I don't think about anybody. I'm not feeling shit. I'm just like riding through my emotions. I didn't feel about this job I had. It's like, you know, we're not stoic.
Yeah, like a lot of
Um,
people try to like interpret it that way, that like Rourke doesn't feel anything, rather than it just having like no relevance to his life at all. So he just has no feeling towards like what's going on, because it's like, why should he?
mhm. I mean, Conhead is better on emotions. Like, I think it's made very clear that like, Rourke's just a dude. He's
Yeah.
like he's kind of doing stuff. And he does feel a certain way about things. But I think at the same time, there is like a dramatization of emotions on the part of objectivists. Um, I'm not a big drama fan. I'm not a fan of the drama that Rand has. I think that it's almost like melodrama. It's like a perversion of what emotions feel like, because emotions
I'm
are
wondering if
treated.
I'm wondering if that's what embodies all of their politics.
Yeah, it's well, the thing is, like, she depicts emotions as carrying a lot of weight. Like, you just feel like lead weights on you, and you're just like dragged down by them. It's like, he crumbled to his knees and he put his hand on his desk and tried to lift himself up. I'm pretty sure that was from Atlas Shrugged. Um, I
Maybe that's because of like it's a romanticism like influences. I'm not sure.
well, that's the other thing. I mean, on hot
Her
take.
work is essentially a morality play, to use the an older expression. There's the characters that express and are essentially archetypes of uh, absolute embodiments of particular characteristics. For instance, there's like the hero, there is the villain, there is the weak person, the person who gives in to uh, their whims and lets their emotions rule them and the like. I mean, that's one of the reasons too why her characters are, one might say, one-sided. But that's the point. It's a morality play of sorts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like her whole thing really with like aesthetics is just kind of like what is what is the art meant to like embody, and like she does it a lot with characters. It's like it's trying to embody something, some like archetype she's trying to like address some person.
Mhm. Which I really do have a distaste for when it comes to like art. The ability to concretize is incredibly important, and it's not just to concretize an archetype, but to concretize so much that is very difficult to concretize. Like, the the way that I've always treated art, it's especially been the way that I've treated music, is that I just live my life for long enough, and just I just gain so much knowledge about what it is like to live life. And then I start getting inspiration about like all these ideas that accompany what's going on in my life. And it's like, there's these kinds of people that I meet. And it's like, this would make a great character. And, there's a grassroots effort um, on in your life, almost like it's like art is really a grassroots effort. It just comes out spontaneously throughout life, little tidbits of ideas, and then you're able to put them all together, and it just comes from like a genuine appreciation of reality. Like, you start to um you're observant about it. You observe all sorts of different kinds of people. You observe all different kinds of emotions, things about yourself, things about the world, and it kind of gets all cobbled together into like this one big concretization. A way for you to just dissipate all this creative energy that you have, and it I think is that's what's like super important about art, is your ability to, throughout having all these big integrations in your life, have a way to dissipate all of those, big ideas that you're holding, to remind yourself that it's like these are concretes.
I
There's
wonder.
examples of life.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what like art blocks are, or like what burnout is. It's like you don't have like infinite creative energy, right? Like
Hmm.
you're gonna run out of it.
Yeah, no, you run out, and then it's like, what's the way to fix the block? Put it down for a little bit. Go do some stuff. Like, it's like a mucus clog. Um, like a lot of people get mucus clogs when they're in bed, not doing anything. You usually just kind of go outside and you walk around for a little bit, you sit up, you do something else, you almost forget about it. It kind of just disappears after that. But yeah, no, I've always disliked the. I know a lot of people call it one-sided, that's for sure. But like it's not necessarily just one-sided. I wouldn't even really characterize it as one-sided. It's like inaccurate. I just find it I think I find a lot of um the depictions lacking, like they're leaving out important information. Um you know, like what does it mean to experience emotions? Well, it's like it's not how, Hank Reardon is experiencing emotions, that's for sure. It's it's something that does not carry that sheer amount of emotional weight. It's actually an incredibly enlightening feeling. You know, you I think there are a lot of books, unironically, like fucking children's books that depict emotions the best way I've ever seen. Like fucking Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm not kidding. Genuinely depicts emotions in a better way than I think Rand does. Specifically because they treat the emotions as incredibly ordinary. Like it's such a organic way that emotions are treated. It's like I felt a pain in my chest a little bit. Like I felt a little bit of gas there. It's like, wow, what a normal fucking way to talk about emotions, dude.
Well,
You
with art,
never
it's
find
aren't
that
you trying to
elsewhere.
like distill the most important parts? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, isn't the point that it's not perfectly accurate?
well, I think that with Atlas Shrugged, the realism is a really important part of it. Like, obviously, the setting doesn't need to be like accurate to any time period. Shouldn't have to have that in mind. But the realism is important. Like what it feels like to, you know, live that kind of life. Because I remember at the forward of the Fountainhead, Rand was talking about the immersion that you feel with the characters. Like she was talking about how she writes based on the kind of lives that characters lead that she'd be most interested in tuning into. Like a sitcom. Like you want to. This is a really awful example, but you really want to tune into Friends.
Huh.
It's that kind of thing. It's like you really want to tune into your favorite characters, and you want to, get to know them and see them develop and all that stuff. So I think that the realism in that regard is incredibly important, because if you're not treating something like emotions or, um integration or, you know, perception, a lot of things that are very dynamic about us, and that we deal with every day, as not um really true to reality, then you're just like you're breaking the immersion. Like I can't relate to you, obviously, because like the way that uh fucking Dagny Taggart experiences emotion is like, it's not in a way that you would see in a protagonist. It's in a way of somebody who's like, you know, uh corrupted, or like, co-opted their emotions, that like if you're a if you're an objectivist, you're like, I don't really I don't really get that. I don't really know what it feels like to be like that. Or you think it's like, oh wow, she just sounds like a bitch.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like
which is
that,
kind
like,
of
I feel
me.
like that, what you said is like the only way that I would ever like cry to like a movie is if it was like the emotions are expressed as real as possible. Because like I've
hmm
never like cried to like any movie or show. They just, I don't know, it just feels dramatic.
I have I've genuinely cried at movies before, but it's because they're it's treated as so organic. The way that the I don't know why I said like a white woman is like organic. Um but when
Mm.
you watch a movie where the first thing I can think of is a guy gets into a divorce or some shit like that, and he's actually you know, genuinely upset about it because he didn't do anything wrong, and it's just you see a real struggle for him to deal with those emotions. Those are heavy emotions, but when you treat them as real. When you treat them as not something to be dramatic about, but something that's just normal, you feel equally it's normal to cry about it. You can feel upset. It's normal to feel upset about it. It isn't dramatized to the point where it's it's extraordinary to
Yeah, it's
cry
not
about, which is why most people don't cry.
always. Yeah, it's not always like you're bawling your eyes out every time. Like sadness is something that like sometimes you're not always like crying about shit. That's not always what sadness is, you know?
Mhm.
The
It's
only oh, go ahead.
it. I think the word that I'm underwhelming is not exactly what I'm thinking of, but I don't know, it's mundaneness. Rand obviously
Puddle?
would despise me for saying that sometimes things in a book should be incredibly mundane, but unironically adding mundaneness in order to foreground genuinely uh important things is super important. The realism specifically, you
Hmm,
are
that's a
if
good
you
point.
make a lot of the realistic things incredibly mundane, then you're able to use that as a background for other things, and you kind of keep the realism as an invariant that carries throughout the entire you know movie or book or whatever. It's not like it's a bit more non-obvious in that
Like
respect.
when you try to make every single thing memorable, it's almost
Mhm.
like nothing becomes memorable because it's
It's
all
like a
like
quote book.
homogeneous.
Yeah.
Or book, yeah. No,
It's
It's
like
I
like
a clip show. Everything has to be a highlight.
Yeah, just all
well,
becomes
it's
there's
like a
there's a good
homogeneous,
example
and
of
Facebook
then
that.
it's just
mom.
like I don't know, I can't pick out anything.
I think Atlas Shrugged
This
does that particularly well. People always complain about the pacing. A lot of the normies are like, "Oh, the pacing is so slow." Yeah, it just makes the high moments stand out a lot more.
Yeah,
mm,
that
people say
is
a
that is
similar thing
true.
about Freerun.
Like, would the train scene would the tunnel explosion had been as memorable if you hadn't seen like a bunch of build up to it? Like, if
Mhm.
you hadn't been to like every department and seen everything go wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that is one thing. It's there is I think that when you treat um certain things as mundane, you can actually foreground the conflict better. You can make the conflict more unique because it's being treated as this super variant thing that sticks out to you. And why does it stick out to you? Well, it's because it's so normal. You just the characters interact so normally. They feel things in normal ways. They speak normally. They think normally. Like they don't speak like they're trying to be in like a Greek play. They're like speaking like they're, you know, somebody that you could actually meet in the world. And that's what a good concretization is. It's like somebody who you can, you know, really, really, truly, um, s- almost like you
Understand
could
and
meet them.
really
Yeah.
see in other people whenever you're walking around in real life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
I think
like,
the
stuff like
character of
kind
Bill
of
was really well done, even though we don't really see him for more than one scene. I think he's just very, very realistically written. He doesn't want to do it. He's not going to put people in danger, and he just leaves, even if it
yeah.
harms him.
It's like tropes that kind of like contradict that what Stratino said. Is like we make fun of those things a lot, like a survivor in some horror movie who's just like absolutely piss poor at running, right? Or like they just make some like really dumb decision. It's like it just completely breaks like everything, right?
it breaks the immersion when you do something that's just fucking stupid. Like you, I almost like the way that I think about like
Should we
I
go in the exit
remember
or the spooky corridor? Well, let's go in the spooky corridor.
I mean, I watched Obsession like 3 different times in the past few weeks because the movie's absolutely amazing. But I think that one of the reasons that it is absolutely amazing is because all of the characters are so fucking normal.
Hmm.
Except for Nikki, obviously, but it's like, she's fucking possessed. So, but like all of the characters act just like a group of friends. Like they are people that you could probably meet out there in the world. And so, you expect and anticipate them to act like normal people. Like, when something crazy in the movie happens, you anticipate that like Bear's just gonna act in a normal way. Um and so too you can also, you know, treat the movie as serious because it's like, oh, they're approaching it with a sense of realism. Like I don't have to, it's not just like a goofy drama. Like it's not just like a dramatic cinematic act. It's like, we're actually trying to create something serious here. So, you anticipate that it's gonna be a lot scarier because of that.
I was like, I don't
Hmm.
have to drop the real world to feel immersed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
It's
well,
like I
I've
don't have
just
to
been
be
like
like,
rewatching.
yeah. It's like I
I've been
don't have to
rewatching.
be.
We both keep talking at the same time.
You go, you go, you go.
I rewatched Freerun recently, and one of the things that I really loved about it the first time through, and honestly, I think it's one of the best parts of the show, is that like most of these, especially like shonen anime and things like this, they often get very into the plot, and it's very dramatic. It's very like action oriented, and honestly, my favorite parts of shows like that are the first few episodes when they're like, let's introduce these characters, let you spend time with them. And the thing that I love about Freerun is that it's the whole time. Like the whole time it's interspersed with like some conflicts and like, plot things, but like every part in between is like it's weird to say mundane, but it's like it makes the characters rich. It makes them real because you see them outside of like their highest highs and lowest lows, and it's like so maybe I don't know. Real, yeah, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying about the realness and the realness shouldn't be left out of romantic realism. You know,
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the realism in romantic realism. Put the realism back in romantic realism. I
Hmm.
mean, I mean, you don't need to romanticize reality in the way that a lot of romanticists write. Like, it's a shame that I have to hate romanticism as much as I do. It's like it's a dead shame because like I really don't like a lot of romanticist art all around. I don't like the plays. I don't like the books. I don't like the paintings or whatever. And like I know that a lot of objectivists like gawk at that, but like I I don't see all I see is the romance. That's all I see. All I see is like the romanticization, but none of the realism. There's hardly like it almost feels like complete and total idealism artistry.
Do
It's
you
just
feel
like
like
let's think of the ideal man.
yeah, do you feel like they feel the need to like project romanticism onto reality when it doesn't need to be?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. They don't they don't treat the romanticism as a corollary of reality, where it's like, there are lawful patterns in the world. There's like, the world is lawfully structured, and there are reoccurring events that can go on. There are invariants that you can pick up of genuinely beautiful things that go on in the world. Um, like what it feels like really to achieve something, what it really feels like to, uh, see something good, or like, you do something good, or like you find something beautiful, or you meet somebody beautiful. It's like reality is already so rich with romance. You don't need to import like this romanticization of reality on top of that.
Stratino, do you ever watch anime?
No.
Interesting. I'm not an anime guy. Like I have never been into it. I used to be a hater because I was just like everyone else was a hater. And but over the last like what, a couple months or so, I was convinced a few times. And ever since then, I've started thinking like, I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying. Like, I bet he would enjoy it because it's just, I mean, even overall for like objectivists and stuff, like you're not going to find the same sort of like victorious, like for life themes in Western media that you will in anime. And perhaps it's just because there's a greater volume of it. But like, there's this one that I saw, and I've been just kind of, I mean, I've been raving about it a little bit, and that is Josie the Tiger and the Fish, and it's this like, this romantic story about this girl in a wheelchair, and then this guy comes and he kind of like is house sitting or whatever, and they fall in love. It's dope, and I mean, there are so many elements that, like, it's I mean, there's certainly some dramatic elements, but it's very real and it's very rich and natural. And I mean, you just won't find that. It's like, and also the guy is competent. He's a good guy. He's not just like some coward, um, which is what you find in a lot of these stories. So I don't know. I recommend that. I think it's dope.
I haven't heard of that one specifically, but
Yeah.
like I know that every time I've watched an anime, I just can't get through it. I genuinely just like feel the need to gag. Um,
Can't
it's
take it
like
seriously.
I can't take that shit seriously. It's so fucking bright. It's so colorful, which makes me sound like I love. To be fair, I used to only watch like black and white movies when I was younger. Um, like maybe my eyes never developed right or some shit. I don't know. But like it's I really really do not like the kind of like culture that Japan displays. Um, I think it's like the stereotype specifically of like, the Japanese guy who's like yeah, oh, it's like this, like, he looks the other way and he makes like a goofy anime face and he like scratches the back of his head with his elbow out. Like that elbow is dangerous. You know how fucking dangerous that elbow is? That guy could like thump somebody's chin and knock all their teeth out the way he's got his big ass elbow out scratching the back of his fucking head. Like I swear. Um they'll have like the overly sexualized anime girl who's like sounds like a fucking
Mouth
Jawa.
fur.
Child.
Guilty
Like,
as
Oh, child, yeah.
charged.
Sounds like a fucking doll being raped by cock.
What?
I understand that.
that's kind of true.
Great input, yes.
There's definitely a spectrum of like goofiness, and I feel that.
It's
What were you
like,
gonna say, Gamo?
Hmm?
I thought Gameaholics
Oh
was
no,
gonna
no,
say.
I was just
Oh.
outstanding input by Wiz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I know like people will talk about watch the shonens, bro, and I'm like I'll watch like fucking Naruto, and I'm like this is genuinely the worst shit I've ever seen in my entire life, and then like I'll watch what is it like to be fair I like JoJo, but like I don't think that really counts because I swear like most of JoJo's stuff is just inspired by Prague, and I'm a big Prague head. So like they're trying to sell me on that. It's like okay, you win, but like somebody will be like, oh, watch the Studio Ghibli movies, and I'll watch it, and it's just like it's like Little House on the Prairie, but like it's in like Asia. It's like it's like the the fucking wolf mother is running with her wolf cubs in the grass field, and like they're all saying their Japanese words or whatever, and I'm just like reading subtitles over here. It's like it's a great book. Like they'll have the goofy ass like melon head looking motherfucker with the glasses, and he'll be like tinkering with his steampunk ship, and it's like, whoa, that's so cool, man. It's like, fuck off. I I could never get into it. I really hate the way that Japanese like animation seems to be like displaying characters. I find them like
I guess maybe
super.
like I feel like maybe like a lot of art is represented as like an escape from it's like escapism. Maybe that's why.
Well,
Yes.
It's
to
like
me,
I like man like I love heavy music, but man, the amount of songs that just like
Oh yeah,
it's
that
just
is
like
true.
escapism, man. It's like I really like the song, like it sounds so good, but man, these lyrics are killing me.
Metal has that bad, and it sucks because metal's so fucking cool.
Yep.
Like, I think the reason that I love And Justice for All by Metallica the most
Hell
out of
yeah.
all of their albums is because it's like it doesn't take the same I'm depressed, I'm gonna kill myself kind of thing. It takes a lot more of like a fuck the government.
I'm not a
Uh
big fan of the government the album.
yeah, it's like though to be fair, the production on that album is fucked. I can't listen to the original version. I have to listen to the one with bass. Like
I can't remember if I listened to like the original one or not. Cause I remember like a lot of the times I'll just be like not liking kind of like the mixing of like old metal. But like
mhm.
I for some reason I like Injustice for all like I like Metallica's mixing even though it's like pretty old.
I did like I love their first three albums mixing. But like Injustice for All's mixing would be fine if they actually add bass onto the album, but Lars is a fucking bitch. It's like he's just like a little bitch boy. But yeah, no, like a lot of music has it bad. Um I remember for a while, back in the ANO, we had like Arshad and Nye and Schizoid Nye, and we were all like in VC and we'd play songs. And we'd I remember Eduardo once showed Spain by Chick Corea, which like it's a phenomenal song. That whole album, Light as a Feather, it's like one of my favorite albums. But I remember like Nye would just armchair over in the VC, like the song would end, he'd be like, it's not like benevolent enough.
It's not benevolent.
I don't I don't hear Rachman enough. I hear Stravinsky. And I'll just like
What? What, bro? What is bro's criteria? Like,
it's, well, like he's just over here. He's like his criteria is like, does it sound like classical music, or like
oh,
he'll be like,
I
I
see.
don't.
It's the Ayn Rand approach to music.
Yeah, the Ayn Rand approach to music. Is it classical Russian music? Okay, well, I guess it's not.
it's not
You
rational.
know, it's not a rational brand of music. All right, I gotta get going. But
Yeah, we've
All
been
right.
here for a
Talking to
minute.
you, man. Thanks for
yeah,
coming on.
see ya.
See you later. Mm-hmm.
Thank God that was
Sorry, were
over.
you leaving? Or are you staying on for a little bit?